Ladies and gentlemen, my joy, my friend, please welcome to the stage, Tanmay, Bakshi. Hey, my man, what's going? What's going? Hey, it's good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Red, note it. Enjoy.
Thank you. My clicker.
Oh, your clicker. Have it.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining in today. My name is Tanmay Bakshi, and my passion is to explore machine learning technology. The reason I'm so passionate about machine learning is because it enables us to combine what computers have traditionally been good at, which is working with mathematical operations, and what we as humans are so good at, which is understanding unstructured data, and combine them to get the best of both worlds so we can understand unstructured data at scale through machines. I hope my slides come up any second now. But apart from that, of course, this machine learning technology, there we go. Thank you very much. So as I was mentioning, this machine learning technology that I'm talking about is going to touch practically every field that uses technology in some way. But the one field that I'm most passionate about applying this technology to is the field of healthcare, which is why I'm working on numerous different projects, including an app that enables me to actually track a bunch of the different data that teens generate every single day on their mobile devices to predict patterns that may hint towards depression in the future. I'm also working towards an app that enables me to provide artificial communication to those who cannot communicate naturally by understanding their electroencephalogram brainwaves through custom deep learning algorithms that I develop. I'm also working on a project that enables audiologists to diagnose hearing disorders in much faster ways than they ever could have done before without the power of machine learning technology. But it's not just the implementation of this tech that excites me, it's also making it accessible to more and more people across the globe, which is why I love taking whatever I learn about this technology and making it more accessible to everyone through, for example, my YouTube channel called Tanmay Teaches, the books that I author, the blogs that I write, the talks and workshops that I conduct at schools and universities across the globe, and of course, the keynotes that I have at conferences just like this one today, so that more people can implement machine learning technologies in the areas where they believe it can make the most impact. But before I get deeper into what I'm doing with machine learning technology today, I'd like to start off by saying a huge thank you to the entire team here at Bits and Pretzels for putting together such a wonderful event and allowing me to be here. In fact, it's actually my very first time in Munich, and I'm really loving it here. Thank you. As I mentioned, the reason that I'm here in Munich is because I'm really passionate about machine learning technology. As we speak, ML is impacting hundreds of fields and hundreds of thousands of lives across the globe. You've all used machine learning today without even realizing it. Even something as simple as watching a movie on Netflix or taking a picture, you're using machine learning. But what if I were to tell you that out of all the companies that want to implement this technology, only 4% have actually gone ahead and done it. This is a survey from Gartner. Only 4% of all companies that want to implement ML have gone ahead and done so. But according to another survey, 72% of all companies vote ML as the most disruptive technology currently out there. That is a stark contrast from the 13% for cloud and the 7% for blockchain. And the reason is simple. It's because, for example, cloud. It's a great technology, but banks are still going to use mainframes. They're not going to transition everything they do over to the cloud, at least not yet, because, well, mainframes are what suit their needs. If you were to take a look at blockchain, it's a very versatile technology. It'll impact tons of different fields, and it's very interesting, but the thing is that there's still a few fields that simply won't be able to benefit from blockchain and what it can do. But machine learning technology, however, is applicable practically in any industry. As long as you're collecting data in some way, you can use machine learning technology to understand and make use of that data. As I mentioned, healthcare is one of the main fields that I'm passionate about applying this technology in. And so, out of all the projects that I'm working on that use the power of machine learning, there are two that I'd like to share with you today. And I'd like to start off with one of my projects in the field of healthcare. The project is called Project Cognitive, and the entire point is to provide a kind of artificial communication ability to those who cannot communicate naturally. And this project is a collaboration between me and my mentor, Timothy Duncan, who you will be hearing a lot more from later today as well. As I mentioned, the inspiration for this project and for us to provide a kind of artificial communication ability actually originated by helping out Boo. Boo is a quadriplegic girl that lives just north of Toronto and unfortunately suffers from Rett syndrome and is therefore unable to communicate or move in any way whatsoever. But what I'm trying to do is actually understand very minute patterns in Boo's electroencephalogram data and actually understand that using machine learning technology in order to figure out patterns that may hint towards what Boo is trying to communicate, a kind of intent communication ability that'll let her connect with the outside world in a more multidimensional way than she ever could have done before. But there's another question that a lot of people do ask me, and that is, well, if you can't understand Boo, then how are you going to train a machine learning system to do that for you? And well, that question has a simple answer. And that is that we can understand the very broad concepts, at least, that Boo tries to convey. And that is with the help of Boo's mom, which is why we've given her the title of the Intimate Interpreter. And with Boo's mom's help, we're going to be live labeling the training data as it's gathered from the headset in order to train my machine learning systems that I'm developing. And the best part is that because it's powered by machine learning, it is very scalable and extremely flexible. It can be applied to practically anyone who has lost their communication ability, whether it be to any kind of disease or an accident, as long as I can gather accurate EEG data from them. And so that was one of my projects in the field of healthcare using the power of machine learning technology. Next up is another field that I'm really, really excited about, the field of finance. In fact, more specifically, a brand new project of mine that I'm really excited to share with you today. And this project is called Market Alerts. The entire point of Market Alerts is essentially to be a kind of intelligent investment assistant for you, so you can keep up with the information overload that plagues us today. Because you see, there's a lot of info out there, especially when it comes to markets and investment. There's so much technical info that you need to take a look at. There's so many data sources to go to. You have to go to a different place for cryptocurrencies, different place for traditional assets like stocks, and in general, there's so much that you need to keep up with that it's nearly impossible to do it all completely manually. But Market Alerts takes all of that information and brings it to your fingertips, quite literally, on your iOS devices. It takes all of the information and knowledge about certain markets, and using machine learning is actually able to bring that into one centralized repository that you can keep track of in real time. It supports a bunch of different data sources. Currently, it actually supports news and sentiment, and actually gives you real-time alerts for online trends. And even before the news publishers publish anything about a certain stock or cryptocurrency, it'll even give you real-time alerts on Twitter, as well as an overall analysis of the market using technical indicators. The best part is that, as I mentioned, it's powered by machine learning technology in almost every step of the pipeline. And this even includes in the way that the news is analyzed. We're not using any pre-built sentiment models. It's all specific to the market and news domain to make sure that you always get the alerts that you need to get right as they come out. And the best part is that it brings all of your assets, traditional or cryptocurrency, into one single place that you can keep track of. It uses some of the best APIs and services out there, including AlphaVantage and CoinGecko for traditional assets like stocks and cryptocurrencies respectively, as well as the IBM Watson Discovery Service to actually collect news and sentiment data, as well as Twitter to give you even more real-time insights as to what you're looking at. It also uses the TA-lib and Watson Natural Language Classifier services for technical analytics and sentiment respectively. And the best part is that Market Alerts is also compatible with some of the latest and greatest features in iOS, including Siri shortcuts. So if you've already got a Siri shortcut workflow, you can now integrate Market Alerts into that workflow. And you can even access Market Alerts through custom voice commands. That means you don't even need to open up the application. You can access Market Alerts data directly through Siri and directly from your lock screen. And it also supports Apple Watch. And what that means is that you can quite literally just take a glance at your wrist and immediately have all the information you need to have around a certain market without needing to open up your phone or even get out your phone in the first place. But without any further ado, I think it would be really interesting to take a look at a demo of this application in action so you can figure out how exactly it works and how it can help you out. But just before we head over to the demo, I'd like to invite my mentor, Timothy Duncan, onto stage to tell you more about Market Alerts. Tim.
Thanks, Tanmay.
Welcome.
And hello, Bits and Pretzels. My name's Tim Duncan, and as Tanmay said, I'm a technology specialist. I develop iOS apps that leverage cryptocurrencies, machine learning, and wearables. I met Tanmay around 3 years ago when I was working at IBM, and his videos were actually the reason why I started to understand emerging technologies. He's now my technology development mentor, and we develop iOS apps together, and the first one we're going to push to production is Market Alerts.
That's great. So now, Tim, quick question about Market Alerts. Who do you think the kind of target demographic for this audience is? And why do you think it's really important for them? How did you come up with the idea?
Yeah, so there's two user profiles that we developed this app for. The first one is an investor who's not a day trader. This person probably has a full-time job. They like to spend their free time on something besides analyzing the market, and they simply just don't have enough time to manually analyze all of their assets and keep their positions updated. So we tried to develop a tool for them to automate part of that process. The other user profile is going to be a novice investor who doesn't have very much experience investing in cryptos or stock markets. We want to provide them a tool that could accelerate their growth, so to speak, in their strategy and give them the right information up front.
That's great. Thank you very much, Tim, for giving us that explanation of Market Alerts. Now, though, let's take a look at a demo of the app in action.
Sounds good.
All right, so we can bring up my phone onto screen now. And as you can see, there we go. On my phone, I've got the initial alpha of Market Alerts opened up. And initially, as you can see, we start off with the last market that I was looking at. In this case, I was looking at Tesla, and it shows me a bunch of news about Tesla as well as the sentiment of that news.
So news is important because, as you know, news can affect the price of an asset, and we want to bring sentiment analysis in each one of these news so that people who don't understand how to evaluate news have a way to do that. And so that's how that is.
Perfect. And now there's also another feature that leverages machine learning technology called the Co-Mentions tab. Now, of course, Tesla is also referred to with other entities like US, Reuters, and more. This will show you the specific sentiment of Tesla with those other entities. Yes.
So one thing that's interesting here I'll point out is they mentioned Tesla and $420. If anybody knows, Elon Musk tweeted about the $420 taking his company private. So this is a concept that is specifically picking up here in news and giving you the sentiment on it specifically.
Mm-hmm. Next up, before we get to the Analysis tab, let's take a look at the Technicals tab. On the Technicals tab, you can see a bunch of different technical analysis info of this certain stock or cryptocurrency and more being added.
Yeah, so this is important because numbers describe the asset. Some important things here you'll see are technical indicators. These are really common indicators that traders use to define where a market's at, where to enter, where to exit. And then you also have some change data, which gives you a really quick snapshot of how the asset does over time.
Mm-hmm. You can also take a look at tweets, which usually are more real-time than news data. And so, in fact, you can actually go ahead and long press on one. It'll take you directly to the tweet, so you can take a look more at the tweet itself.
Yeah, these are curated news tweets to the specific market, so these tweets should be specific to Tesla. And what I found when I was manually doing this process before we built this app is that the most real-time information on a conversation is in Twitter, so that's why we put that in there.
Great. Next up is the Analysis tab. This is where the magic happens. So over here, you've got the 24-hour market sentiment, first of all. The 24-hour market sentiment gives you a good idea of what the market is looking like. Currently, unfortunately, it's negative for Tesla. Also gives you a few market indicators or technical indicators like RSI and MACD. And the really interesting part is the Anomalies tab. The Anomalies tab tab shows you different news articles that are sort of anomalous, that actually did not fit with the news articles that came before them. Like, for example, SEC lawsuit seeks to remove Elon Musk as Tesla CEO or officer in any public company, which of course is going to dramatically affect the price of the stock.
Yeah, I think what's most important here is the anomalies, like Tanmay said. These are things that the system is finding that will most certainly affect the price, and you should pay attention to them as an investor.
And it also gives real-time alerts, absolutely. Next up, finally, just as sort of one more feature I'd like to show you here, is that not only can you access market alerts through an application, you can also access it through Siri. So all I need to do is say, analyze Tesla stock. And there we go. Siri should say, right after it
Market alert says, here's an analysis of Tesla. RSI is neutral. MACD is negative. And news sentiment is negative. Okay.
And so that was a quick demo of market alerts in action. Thank you very much, Tim, for joining me.
Thanks, Tanmay, and thanks, Bits and Pretzels.
Thank you. Now, if we could switch back over to my slides, those were just two of my projects in the fields of healthcare and finance. And so that was Market Alerts. It's coming to the iOS App Store early 2019 as a subscription-based service. And so again, just to summarize, those are just two of my applications in the field of healthcare and finance that use the power of machine learning technology. But before I go, there is a misconception that I'd like to clear. It's a misconception that a lot of different people have about machine learning technology, and it's one that I really don't blame people for having, and that is that AI is meant to replace us. AI is meant to overtake humanity. It's meant to replace us at everything we're doing in our everyday lives, but this is simply not true. We shouldn't be afraid of AI. AI is meant to augment what we as humans are able to do. It's meant to take our unstructured data understanding abilities and let us do more with it than we ever could have done before using the power of machine learning. Which is why I also disagree with the wording of AI as artificial intelligence. Because I truly believe that AI should be called augmented intelligence. Because that's what it is. It lets us as humans take what we are so good at, our intelligence, our reasoning, and lets us enhance it by understanding more and more data with the power of machines. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining in today. That's what I had for my keynote. If you'd like to contact Tim, you can do so on any of the following social media. And if you'd like to contact me, you can do so here as well. We'll be available after the keynote to answer any questions you may have outside. And again, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Yes, what a rock star. Woo! Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.